Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 127 of a year of change and week 19. Yes, we are at the beginning of another week. Yesterday I had said that I didn't think the week was going to be going very well. For some reason I just felt like I was looking at my numbers and saying, okay, my calories in are less than my calories out, so I should be good, but I just felt like I was gaining for some reason. But I was wrong, I guess. Numbers don't lie. I had more calories out than I had calories coming in, so I was okay. I still lost a little bit, so I'm very pleased with that. I should probably just pay more attention and track things properly, and should work out well. This week, we're going to sort of start a precursor to next week, which is when we start tweaking our food intake. For some of you, sugar might be your thing, fat might be your thing. For me, it's salt. So the main thing I need to look at is sodium. So that's what I sort of want to focus on to begin with. At the very least, then people who are, if you are in the same boat that I'm in, where it's your salt intake that's causing the problem, then, at least we're going to be in the same boat together. And then for those of you that are looking at sugar and fat and things like that to cut out, we're going to we'll do those eventually. But at least this way you can start out with sodium and start tracking that. It might make things a little bit easier as things progress down to, the other things that might be a little tougher for you to get rid of. So it's not going to suit everybody, but it is going to help at least a third of you, I hope, maybe, depending on where that lies. So I have no idea what I was going to say. That was pretty much it. All right, have a good day. Bye. So what I think that we should probably do is this week, just like we did at the very beginning when we first started tracking calories, is not necessarily, start saying, okay, well, I need to get low sodium this and low sodium that, but really be much more aware of the sodium that we're taking in. I'm not going to do it day by day just yet. I think that that's a little unrealistic with what we're trying to do. And I originally was going to do it just month by month. And then once I started in on, the fat or the sugar or something, then that would drop it down to week by week. But if we're going to be making a change, I don't think, we've only got 8 months left. And I don't want to get to month 4 and still not really have worked on it. So I think at this stage, and a month by month thing, if overall you're down at the end of the month, but there were 2 days where you didn't have any, that doesn't really help. So eventually we will get day to day. But I think to start things out, then I think that we should probably do week by week. It's a little more realistic, and although your sodium levels may fluctuate throughout the day, on a week by week basis to sort of start out with, it'll at least keep it somewhat regulated, I think. I may be wrong, but that's how I look at it. Month to month, I think, is just too wide an area to really do any different, to make any difference or do any good. So I think, week to week right now is realistic. And plus, it's going to actually help a little bit. It's not just going to be a little bit. Sorry. It's not just going to be sort of, in April I was doing fine, and then in September I did, poorly. Overall, it's going to sort of tighten things up a little bit for us. I know the calories are a little bit easier because we can do it minute by minute almost, with how many are going in, how many are going out, and everything like that. And we can technically do that with sodium. But our main focus is the calories first, and then the sodium is more of a tweaky thing, and the amount that it fluctuates throughout the day. Anyway, I'm not going to re-explain it. So I think that's a good place to start, is just week to week. So for this first week, just drooled all over myself. Yuck. Great. Oh, what happened there? Sorry. See what happens? You drool on yourself and you forget where you were. Now I don't know what I was saying. Anyway, if we go week to week, for this first little bit, even though we're technically starting next week, this week just sort of want to focus a little more on being aware of how much sodium is in our diet regularly. We can always go back and take a look at it, which we did a couple of weeks ago. We went through all the different charts and everything and looked at it that way. And that's part of the reason why I sort of want to do it week to week as well. That although I'm over almost every single day, there are only really a couple of really big spikes, and that's sort of along the line of like sausage or cold cuts, or there are sort of things that you don't eat every single day. So, except for this week, which I ate a lot of sausage, they were on sale. What are you going to do? But just because those spikes here and there, they're going to still happen. So I'm not really concerned about those too much. But they're going to be so few and far between that. But overall, I just sort of want the sodium level to get under the recommended daily, near the recommended daily intake. And just judging by how much salt I usually put on stuff, although I'm a bit better now because I sort of started looking at it, it should be about half a teaspoon to give you an idea of how much sodium people actually need. So I really need to sort of take a look at the different foods that I'm eating and things like that. So a lot of the snacks that we have looked at in the past have a lot of sodium in them. They're okay for quick little spikes, I think, here and there for what we're trying to accomplish anyway. None of this stuff is health-wise. It's just logic in what we're trying to do. So every now and then, I'm still going to have a day when it goes way above. But overall, if I can go week to week and say, okay, for this week I was under my goal. Not that I had nothing for 3 days and then huge spikes for 3 days, because that's not going to help anymore. But it's just, if I can keep it somewhat regulated, I can't speak, then that's what I'm looking at. So I think for this week, where we're just sort of getting ready to start actually tracking it, just keep an eye on things, take a look at it, and see, maybe go back into your charts for the past couple of weeks as well, and just see where your weak points are. For me, I know it's things like sausages or ribs or usually prepared meats, actually, now I think about it. That's really where my high spikes are. Or things like pasta sauce or, cheesy things, snacks and stuff like that. That's where I think a lot of the sodium is going to come from. So, but I think that it's a good way to start. Just sort of that same week that we aren't tracking, but we're just watching. And then just sort of to keep in that same pattern, because the calories seem to be working for us. So I think it's a good place to start. Which, by the way, reminds me, with the calories, things like that, although during the week I can look at my numbers and say, yes, I was way under and things like that, I think that because last week was really rough, I don't want to sort of jump ahead, and this week is going to be rough. Last week was really rough because I just had one day after the other where I was craving something bad. But sort of pushed through it and said, no, not going to do that for the most part. Anyway, I still bought the saltwater taffy and the sour things. But overall, it's because I didn't indulge in that and just didn't say, the hell with it, I'm going to do it anyway. It did pay off a little bit. But, which is weird because I went out on, as I said, actually I should have brought this up as well. On Saturday, went out with some friends of mine. It was really good to see them again. But I had I bought a coffee on the way out there. And that's all I had. It's quite a ways out. It was a lot further than I thought it was going to be. But spent some time out there. It was nice seeing them again and didn't really go over. They had a barbecue thing, but I wasn't hungry at that point, so I didn't have anything to eat. Plus, there were strangers there. There were a couple of people one person I didn't really know. So I'm not just going to sit there and stuff my face. So, but no, it was kind of nice seeing them. But I got home really, really late and took sort of a sneak peek because it was driving me nuts. Because I thought, okay, I'm going to wait till tomorrow, do my weigh-in. But it was still at that stage where I'm thinking, I know I'm over. I know that at the very least, I've stayed the same and maybe have actually gained some. It's just how I felt. And so I took a sneak peek around midnight. Or actually, no, because it was a bit later, actually, because I didn't get home till 2 or 3 in the morning, now that I think about it. Anyway, early in the morning. And took a sneak peek and just waiting. And I looked down and, oh, okay. Things are okay. I've actually lost quite a bit. So I was very pleased. And then for some reason, I went to sleep and then got up and did my proper weigh-in. And normally, as I say every week, I weigh myself 3 times, take the highest number. It was the same number every single time. So I actually weighed myself 4 times because some point between 3 a.m. when I did my sneak peek and noon when I did my actual weigh-in, I'd lost another 1.5 pounds. I'm not quite sure how that goes. So I'm trying to think if I just weighed myself with my shoes and my coat and everything else on, which would be stupid, which I don't think I did. But something went awry anyway. So I weighed myself 4 times, and it was the exact same number every single time. So good enough. I will take that number. So I'm hoping that this week is going to continue on with that. I'm going to drop down my treadmill another 100 calories. Right now, whenever I do my treadmill, it was at 840 calories, I think, that I burn off. But I knock off 240 of those. So technically, although I have those, it measures it as if I've only burned 600, because I want to eventually get down to the point where I'm not counting that towards my daily calories. So I'm going to drop it down probably another 100 calories. I kind of want to do more, but again, I don't want to go too quickly. I'd much rather, and it's been this way for a couple of weeks now, I'd much rather have it to a point where I feel like I'm going too slow and I want to do more than me sort of jump too far ahead and throw a wrench in things. There are some times I feel like it's still safe for us to do that, and then other times I think, no, I would much rather play it safe at this stage. So I'm going to cut it down so that although I burn off, say, 840, I'm cutting it back by 340, so I only have that extra 500 calories, and it's working out well, I think, because I'm still staying well below on those days. I should probably start doing something on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well, but I'm going to sort of stick with things the way that they are, and I don't want to jump too far ahead. I don't want to sort of get to a point where I think, I'm doing too much, this is too hard. So much rather stay on this path that we're on because it's being successful. We're actually doing things. It's working, and we're getting to a point where, may not reach the goal that we had for the end of the year, but, food-wise and exercise-wise, everything's sort of a pattern now. So hopefully it's doing well. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this week. Just sort of keep an eye on your sodium. I know for those of you out there, again, that are looking at that, sodium is not my problem, it's sugar, it's fat, and things like that, we will get to those. Don't worry. Keep things going the way that they're going. We're going to start with sodium, and for those of us that it's a really, really difficult thing to do, it's going to give us that experience so that when we do start tweaking things like fat and sugar and things like that, we'll have learned from our mistakes over these past few weeks, knowing what works and what doesn't, and it's going to make things a little easier for those of you out there that are working on the fat and the soda or and the sugar. And for those of us that have that sodium thing, we're going to be going through this together. So we'll run the gauntlet. We'll see what works, see what doesn't work, and where we need to avoid things. And hopefully, when we get those cravings, maybe that's what we'll sort of focus on for those. There we go. There's a nice little theme for some of those snacks. We'll look at those things that we normally go to, which are really high in sodium, and see if we can find an alternative. I have one actually later on, maybe this week or next, that I always thought was fairly good. I've talked about it before a few weeks ago, and I keep postponing, but it was one of those things that I always thought, well, this is much better than having chips and cheesies and stuff like that. No, it's not. So just goes to show you, when you take a look at things a little closer, there are some times that you're going to look at it and think, oh, it's fine, this is much better than what I'm doing before, and no, it's not. A long time ago when we first started and we did the pickles, we knew, though, that the sodium was insanely high. Like, one has as much as you need for your entire daily recommended intake. So it's going to be things like that we're going to need to sort of look at. And again, realistically speaking, the same thing with the calories. We're not going to be under every single day. There are going to be those days when you just want salt so bad and you're going to indulge. That's okay. That's why we're doing this week to week and not, day to day. Overall, our main goal isn't to get to a point where, we're doing Ironman competitions. It's just to get to a point where we're eating somewhat normally, that although we're going to have good days and bad days, overall, we're eating much, much healthier than we were before. And I think that we're actually doing it. We're 4 months in. We have another 8 months to go, and I think we've made some really good progress. So for this week, I'm babbling again. I'm probably going over, very, very close. Very close to it. So we're going to sort of wrap this up. I did fairly well yesterday, and hopefully that we're going to do well today. So for this week, keep an eye on your sodium intake. You don't have to really tweak anything as of yet. Just it'll give you a good barometer as to, or sort of, barometer. Well, yeah. We'll use weather metaphors. Why not? It'll give you a good idea as to how much is in there on a daily basis, where your weak points are. You can go back and take a look at the different charts that we did before a few weeks ago and just focus on the sodium. See what days have your big spikes. see what you ate on the days when you were below, and then, as long as we're hovering around the daily intake, we should be okay. And then at the end of the week, we'll tally everything up, and that's the main thing that we're going to be looking at starting next week, is making sure that we're under week to week. I think that's a much more realistic goal. So this week, this is your homework. Just sort of go fiddle around in MyFitnessPal, take a look at the different things that are available there, and just sort of go back through your diary, take a look at where you think your weak points might be, because that might be something that we can work on as well. I've got to do the same. I pretty much know where mine are right now. I think I shouldn't say that with 100% accuracy or 100% certainty though. Then I think a lot of my stuff, it's going to be processed meats. That's my main thing. I don't really do the snacky thing anymore. It's going to be things like every now and then pickles or popcorn or something like that. But I think overall, processed meats, that's where and processed food in general, that's where the sodium is going to come from. Not so much the salt anymore, because just sort of inadvertently, I've stopped using a tremendous amount. Which, by the way, I meant to show you my salt shaker to show you exactly how much is in there. It's completely full as of right now, and it's about that big. I know it's not just a regular salt shaker. It's the same size as a pepper grinder would be. It's just that I use coarse salt. So think of a regular pepper mill and fill that with salt. That's roughly how much salt that I have. And normally I would go through one of those in easily within a month. It's full right now, and I filled it maybe 2 weeks ago. So I've cut way back on the amount of salt that I actually use, but it's the sodium in the food that I need to look at. So I will show you that. I'm sorry, I should have brought that out, and I completely forgot. But we'll look at that and just sort of a little aside at some point during this week. But just for now, picture in your head a pepper grinder, except it's filled with salt, and it's about a foot tall. 30 centimeters tall for those of you using metric. And it's completely full at this stage. It's right to the top. So with a little bit, a little gap in between there. But I'll show you how full that is. But that's pretty much what I have left for the rest of, ideally, for the rest of these 8 months that are remaining. Not to cut it out completely, because, you do still need salt. It helps regulate blood pressure and everything else. But I know I'm using far, far too much of it. So that's what I want to focus on. And I'm going to be getting more than enough sodium in the food that I have. So throwing that extra salt on there isn't really doing me any good. So that's the main thing I need to look at. So, actually, no, I can do this. I can totally do this. I can show you. Here is my pepper grinder. I keep forgetting my salt grinder. I keep forgetting I can do this. Like, ooh, magic. So there we go. That's what it looks like. It's, as you can see, completely full right to the top, and there's that little gap near there as well. That this is what I have left for the next 8 months. I'm not going to be buying any more salt, and I don't have any. Like, that took the last of the salt container that I actually used to fill it. So that's it. And I think it's actually a realistic goal, but we'll keep going maybe month by month. Every 4 weeks, I'll show you where the level is on it, and we can compare. And we'll just sort of go that way. I will make a note of that, because I tend to promise things and don't follow through with a lot of things. I say, we'll talk about that later. So anyway, but yes, there we go. That is what it looks like. And now I've gone over. Sorry. See, I get babbling, I get talking about things, and then I do magical picture things, and everything goes awry. But for right now, that's it. So keep an eye on things for this week, and we'll continue on the way that we've been going on. It's just sort of in preparation. And for those of you that are salt addicts like myself, I'm in there with you. So we'll go through this together. And for the rest of you out there that are watching, enjoy the train wreck, because it's going to be rough, I think. But we'll get through it, and it'll make things a little easier when we start addressing the sugar, which will be next, and then fat. And then we'll start building up on the good stuff, like the protein and the carbs and the fiber. So those are the 3 good ones. Anyway, for right now, though, that's it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. In the meantime, I completely screwed that one up again. So I'm going to try that again. Let's rewind that, because I skipped over things. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. In the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.